Today on Mosh Pit Garage, we're going to fix an ongoing problem I've been having with the car. Apparently, carbon monoxide is bad for you. So in the Miata, I've been having a problem with the trunk lid not sealing against the seal in the back and exhaust fumes getting into the cab of the car, which is bad, of course. The main reason for that is that the trunk lid I've been using is an aftermarket fiberglass piece that came along with the rest of the body panel kit on the car. And it doesn't seal against the seal, and I'm going to show you what's going on there. And we're also going to talk about why that draws fumes into the cab and show you how I fix it. All good stuff. I've never done any body work like this before. I've never done a mold layup and a plug like I'm going to be doing, but I'm not going to let that stop me. Let's just go for it and see how it turns out.
Okay, let's talk about what's going on here. So there's a path for exhaust gases coming off the exhaust and also the sound to travel up in here into the trunk and into the passenger compartment. This was basically made by laying fiberglass up on top of a stock trunk lid. And you can see it follows that profile, and this bubbled up area right here is normal on Miatas, and this is even where the third brake light would go. If you look though at the seal, actually drops down in this area in the back. And so between the fact that this is dropping down and this is raising up, you end up with a big gap right here. And I'm going to close this. And if you look up in there, you can see where you see light right there, that's the underside of the trunk lid. So this gap is significantly large. Now the other thing that's going on is that in Miatas, you have this tunnel right here that is on either side of the stock gas tank. There's one here, and then there's one over here. And if you look, you can see that that tunnel runs all the way up to the cab of the car. So whatever gets in the trunk basically has got a duct, a big one, that it can use to flow all of that up into the passenger compartment. Looking at it from the passenger compartment, this is the driver's seat. So I'm coming in here, is that hole I'm talking about. So there's a big hole right there where anything can come in. So what's happening as the car is at speed, air of course is flowing past here. High pressure in here, low pressure in here, and so this air basically gets pulled out of the cab. Usually the air in this area right here is pretty stagnant. And so as exhaust gases from all of the turbulence that's going on back here make it into this area, this higher pressure area is being drawn from higher pressure into the cab. In the previous LS1 Miata before this one, it was a stock trunk. So it was sealed except for the fact that I'd cut these two giant slits in the trunk for the wing mounts. And the first time I took it to a track day after that, I was getting all of these exhaust fumes into the cab. I put two and two together, came back, and with the trunk lid closed, taped all that up as best as I could at the track, and the exhaust fumes went away. As far as the airflow theory goes, the problem makes sense, and also based on experience, the problem makes sense. That's what we're fixing. This is aluminum back tape for ductwork. Basically, a thin layer of aluminum with adhesive on the back. Good stuff. what I've done here is tape this up in preparation for laying the fiberglass in here. And what I'm doing is I'm covering up sharp seams and things where the epoxy could flow in and make it difficult to pull the fiberglass piece out of this once it sets up. The rest of it, the way it's shaped, should allow this to release easily. And that makes sense because, you know, these things are punched out in huge metal dies from sheet metal. It's the same thing. Once it gets punched, you've got to be able to pull the sheet metal out of the tooling. This right here, where I'm running my finger, is where the actual trunk lid seal is at. I'm going to run it from there all the way to about here, all the way around. And I want to make sure that there's enough coming over this edge to give this some rigidity. All right, so this is cleaned and taped up. Now what I'm waiting for is the PVA compound to show up that I'm going to be spreading on all of this as the release compound so that the fiberglass doesn't stick to this surface right here.
Yeah, okay, great timing. Now comes the messy part of fiberglass that I don't think anybody enjoys. I know I don't. I'm going to start by trimming the edges of this all the way around to match the edge of the trunk lid. Okay, I would say that that cutting wheel is done. Okay, now I'm going to use the flapper wheel to clean up the edges. Okay, those edges cleaned up nicely. Okay, separation time. We have separation. Hey, that looks pretty good. All right, I'm gonna tape these two together to check up the overall fit. So far, everything is lining up really well. I'm going to run the camera around the edge. See, the black piece is right there. So I'm gonna be able to glue these two together and get a good fit. All right, that's looking good. Now this stuff coming off here, that is the PVA. That's the release stuff. Kind of looks like saran wrap, and it's about the same thickness. This was 3 coats, 1 light coat, 2 heavy coats. Then I let it dry overnight. And the PVA I used is this stuff right here. Got it off Amazon, just some generic brand, and it seems to have done its job. So what I'm gonna do next, I'm going to drill the holes where the trunk lid fits the car, and that's these holes right here. And I think I will use these holes here as a jig. Ooh, that one's perfect. All right, now let's put this on the car and see how it fits. Oh, this is good. I can feel it pressing on the seal underneath. Oh yeah, that's great. It's all the way down against the seal. Now we're looking up underneath. Yeah, look at that. That seal is up against there, all the way down. So that is fantastic. That's what we wanted. This is gonna work. Now all I need to do is bond the two together. Okay, so I've got some seam sealer. This stuff right here. I like the way this stuff works. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean this piece up, and then I'm gonna run a bead all the way around the edge of this, force this down against that bead, and then tape it all the way around the edges to hold it in place while it sets up. And I think that's gonna work just fine. I think what I will do once I get it all taped up is I'm gonna go set it on the trunk, to use the trunk as an alignment jig to make sure everything's in the right place. Just a little insurance to make sure it doesn't set like this. Okay, so seam sealer is gluing these two pieces together. Put a little bit of weight on it to make sure it's up against the seal on the trunk. Make sure everything's aligned and there's none of this. Now I just wait for the seam sealer to set. Okay, so it's a success. Here we have the finished lid. So basically all I need to do is do a little cleanup around the edges, clean up some of the seam sealer. I managed to get in a few places I didn't want it, but it's good. Very happy. It's going to seal up the trunk and keep those exhaust fumes out of the cab. Now, some of you may be wondering, you've got the stock trunk lid, why didn't you just use that? Well, there's a good reason for that. This, without the mounting hardware, and I've even taken the clasp off for the latch in the back, weighs about 15 pounds according to my scale. This guy weighs about 5 pounds, 10 pounds. For one body panel. That's a lot. So yes, I'm very pleased with the way this came out. If you've got any questions, post them in the comments below. Thank you for watching.